related to this, disgust in people, I think that a high quality woman is aware that if she would appreciate a compliment from a man who she's attracted to, she should also appreciate it from a man who she's not attracted to. I think lots of the time there's like double standards, where there's a woman who will take a compliment from someone and be like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing, but then just completely not give the time of day to the man that she's not attracted to. And I think that there's a polite way of being tact. You can appreciate someone's compliment and a man's compliment and have a conversation with him, and then tactfully still turn him down. So I think that a high quality woman is tactful in that way and can talk to all men, even if she's not attracted to them. I think it's important because men have egos too, and if you want a man to be able to have the confidence to go to the next woman and ask her out, then you kind of gotta make him feel at least decent after he's taken the courage to go walk up and talk to you. And I think even if it is a man that you're attracted to and you don't know him that well, so you turn him down, I think you at least should have appreciation for the time and effort and courage that it takes as a man to approach a woman. So I've even heard women making fun of men before for how the man approached them, or how the man didn't say the right things or the things that would have been attractive. But it's like a higher quality woman knows that she can appreciate the effort that a man puts in to at least try, because it's not easy. This next one is huge, and that's to be receptive to competent male leadership. So when I say competent, I'm saying you should be okay with being led by a man. To not believe that all strength and power is corrupt, like a lot of the things are being taught in the Western world, that a man's strength and power is only corrupt, but that you should be able to want to place yourself under the leadership of a competent, confident man. And I think that it's huge because men want to be leaders, and as long as he's doing it in a healthy way and it's for the betterment of both of you, I think that as a higher quality woman, putting yourself under the leadership of a man is very important. It's very important, and I've even read some studies showing that women actually want to be led and are actually happier when they feel protected by their man, and they actually place themselves in that role purposely. Like I know a woman who I was dating for a little bit, and she appreciated me walking her home and at night, and I don't even think that it was just because of the safety aspect. I think she actually enjoyed placing herself in that role, and I wouldn't be surprised if she stayed out late with me just so that I could walk her home, because she appreciated that, and she would always thank me for it and tell me, oh, I'm always so enjoy when you walk us home. So to place yourself under the man's protection makes the man happy, and I'm sure it makes a higher quality woman happy as well. On the topic of male leadership, I think every higher quality woman needs to know that a man is not always going to be able to be on his A game. He's going to have weak points. He may become depressed at certain points, and his weak point might even be when you meet him on first impression. So I think you have to understand that men are not perfect, and we're going to have weaknesses. So I think that I've seen and heard stories of women leaving men when they have a weak point in their life, or even if they cry in front of the woman. I've heard stories of women losing attraction, and I can't say that that I've necessarily witnessed that myself, but I definitely know that as a man we cannot always be leaders 100%. So, you know, gonna have to pick up some of the slack for us when we're not doing our best, and so you can't leave, or if you feel unsafe because of that, that should be natural. You know, there's gonna be natural times where we're not leading our best, and if you feel a little bit unsafe, unprotected because of that, because we're not on our A game, you know, you have to still feel, how do I explain it? Still feel safe and trust that we're gonna get back on track. Yeah. In regards to a woman, you know, feeling safe under a man's leadership, I believe that a higher quality woman will not excessively test a man to see how he reacts. You know, a higher quality woman does not cause a significant amount of drama just to see if the man can handle it. You know, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of testing, you know, maybe pulling away, not texting him for a few days to see if he can maintain confidence, but largely testing his character through creating, you know, some drama or anything of those lines, I think is just inappropriate. And so please, you know, a higher quality woman would test a man slightly and just observe him and get to know his character over a long period of time and make judgments off how he reacts to the things in his own life, you know, rather than creating conflict to see how he reacts. I've heard, you know, some women without fathers can do this because they feel unsafe, so they need to create drama and conflict. But yeah, I think it's important, especially as a man, if we're trying to lead our life and live well and be successful, we can't have a high amount of testing coming from the woman. Our life is already hard enough. So yeah, a higher quality woman, I believe, if there's a misunderstanding, she will simply just ask, you know, because asking and finding out can really keep your relationship going. I think especially in the very early stages, you know, I've had women, you know, after a first date, they had a misunderstanding about something, or even maybe before the first date, they have a misunderstanding. Like, they'll ask me, so are you asking me on a date? Well, I'm not really looking for something, but we can get to know each other as friends. You know, they'll ask me to try to clear up any misunderstandings, and this actually leads to us continuing to go on dates, or continuing to go on a first date or a second date, or get to know each other as friends. But what I see a lot in our modern day culture is simply just ghosting. But I think people, men and women, are losing so many potential opportunities simply because of ghosting. Like, they can't simply just say, hey, you know, this is why I didn't text you back, because when you said this, it made me feel X, and I need an explanation before we can move this relationship forward, or before we can go on another date. Like, if just being able to say something like that can keep it going, because like I'm saying, you know, there's even women that I know today that our relationship, you know, or even like friendship, not that we're dating, I'm single, but the fact that I even know them today as friends took place because they had the courage to ask me and to clear up a misunderstanding. Or another thing is that, you know, let's say a man asks you out and you don't really feel, this is just an example, let's say you don't really feel safe with the location that he asked you out to. Maybe it's a, you know, bar, and you don't want to drink on the first date. Rather than just ghost him, just say, hey, I'll I'll go on another, how about we just get coffee, you know? Because I feel like a lot of the times the woman, when it comes to the dating, and even men too these days, they're just not forward with what they're thinking. If you're the woman and someone asks you on a date, first date to alcohol, and you're not comfortable, just say, you know, I'd rather get coffee. I think it's just so much better having that ability to negotiate as a woman and to keep the relationship alive, because relationships die quick in the beginning if both people are not participating. So I think that a higher quality woman knows that they have to have some participation in the earlier stages, you know, to kind of steer things in their preferences to make themselves feel comfortable. I have a story, like, for example, you know, this man that I know asked this woman out at a bar, and then she said no, but they took each other's contact info and texted, you know, from time to time, but I guess she would never really go out on a date with him. But then this man was in the military, and just by some 1 in 1 million chance, she ended up running into him when she was like trying to renew her passport or something like that at this, you know, DMV or military area or something like that. She ended up running into him, and they started dating, and now they're like probably thinking about getting married. So I hope that she would understand that her being passive and choosing to not go on a, you know, 30-minute coffee date with him almost costed their entire future marriage, because of, you know, I don't want to say she relied on the 1 in 1 million chance that they would run into each other again, but if they didn't run into each other at that, you know, military site where she was renewing her documents or whatever, they probably never would have got married or been started dating, and now they're thinking about marriage, and all that would have been gone. But it could have been kept alive if she just went on a 30-minute coffee date with him. So I think that sometimes women can be overly passive, and I think that it costs a lot of opportunities for both men and women. A lot of opportunities are lost because of that. So I think that a higher quality woman actually understands, you know, that yes, women tend to be more passive when they're feminine, but, you know, if something is to be created anywhere in life, they have to have also some participation in it, you know, rather than waiting for things to happen. And I've even had this, you know, occurrence before where a woman wouldn't really take my contact info, but then once I ran into her like 3 or 4 times, she was more okay with it. And I don't know, I kind of think, well, maybe we never would have even ran into each other, and an opportunity would have been lost like that. It's just my opinion. You know, if you drop it down in the comments, let me know what you think. Related to this topic of participation, I believe is also, you know, the topic of participation in texting. I've matched with women on, you know, dating sites before, you know, in which we matched, so they showed interest in me, but then their responses are like 1 or 2 word replies, like, and even if they like open before with the text before I get to message them, their response is like hi or like hello, often not even like capitalize the H, you know, just like lowercase h I. And I think that I don't understand why this sometimes happens. I don't understand if they don't believe that they have to participate in like saying something, you know, of substance to keep the interaction going. But it can be difficult. Like I've tried, you know, engaging and asking questions, and then you get short replies, or they'll answer with a really good response, but then they don't ask a question back. And I believe a lot of opportunities are lost in that way, and I don't understand almost why it seems like you know, some women will actually give up opportunities like this. It's like, you know, once the conversation kind of dies out, then they don't pick it up. You know, and it will be me trying to pick it up. And I think that, you know, there's a quote. I remember my science teacher in high school, she would tell me this. She would say, "You're not bored, you're boring." And I mean, I know that sounds kind of rude, but I think the high quality woman does understand that they can't rely on the man to be the sense of entertainment and then wonder, you know, why the conversation died out. Like, because they have to contribute as well. Just a second, getting on the bus. They also have to contribute. And so I think, you know, to add a little bit more, ask some questions on a date, feel just a little bit of responsibility, you know, to keep the conversation alive is important. You know, obviously, you know, men typically lead the whole thing, but feeling a little bit of responsibility as well on the woman's part, I think, is important. All right. Another thing that I think is major, especially in today's modern era, is do not try to compete with men. You know, there's a lot of talk like that we need more women in STEM fields. We need, you know, women to make more money than men or just as much, or we need more women in CEO positions. And there's stuff like this. But it's like, just do what you want to do. Do what feels natural. You know, like, we don't want, I think, a woman who is just simply trying to compete just as a social movement, like a political movement. Just do what feels natural to you. If you want to stay at home and be a stay-at-home mom, and we can afford that as a man, then just do that. Let's just do that. Like, just do what's natural. If you're more, if the woman is more, you know, children oriented and raising children and cooking and cleaning, and maybe that's traditional, there's no reason to think, oh, that's sexist, I can't put myself in that position. Just do what feels natural, not a competitive political type of movement, you know, way of thinking. Because within your marriage, within the household, that political stuff doesn't really matter. Do what works for your marriage. You know, don't be afraid to make yourself vulnerable by not making any money. You know, if you have no money to exit and divorce if you needed to, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being vulnerable, because if you care about the marriage and you trust in it, you will make yourself vulnerable by, you know, not having a job and being a stay-at-home mom, if that's what you believe in, or if that's what you love and enjoy. So, or if you want to work and have a passion and want to have a career, then that's okay too. But yeah, no competition and or fear of being in a sexist position, you know, such as cleaning or being a stay-at-home mom. Like, it's just do what's natural.